You can see it on the screen right in front of you. 8 wins apiece. This one decides the rivalry series for now.
For now.
Ish.
Oh, yeah,
Hey, Dark
for now.
Moon, how are you tonight?
Hey, I am doing great, Trenton. How are you doing this lovely after holiday week?
I am doing pretty good. When last we joined forces, these two raced live at Speed Gaming Live. We were in the marathon room. We had some fun. It
was a great time. I enjoyed
it.
Yeah.
Hand gestures occurred of the nice variety. All sorts of fun shenanigans happened.
Oh yeah. It was a grand old time. And apparently we ended, I did not realize this at the time, in a tie, because we'd been doing a series of these races leading up to Speed Gaming Live to advertise the fact that we were going to be there. And we ended, at the very end of it, 8-8 for the two of them. So now we need to have a tiebreaker, even though, Dengwoo gets all the glory because he has the trophy. But, still awesome.
Well, the trophies can be wagered.
I don't know if they have anything writing on the line except for bragging rights here, but, I wouldn't stop them.
What else do they need?
So we are here to try and see who gets the win. Lucky number 9 to be the champion of the Road to SGLive flag set we ran for 2019. And Trenton, I'm feeling good about this. I love this flag set.
It is quite the flag set. I was doing a D-Rust on it earlier just to remind myself of the shenanigans and the falderall that can occur. And there's plenty of nonsense and falderall available under these flags. We'll talk about them as they happen. There's a lot of potential navigation with the free canal available to the runners, so they can sail to a bunch of the early towns. There'll be 2 they can never get to until they have the airship. But they will need the canoe to get to the airship, by the way, because there's no dock there under these flags.
I think what I love most about this flag set is just the fact that you don't know what your party is going to be like at any moment. All you know is the first character you get to start with, and you know that something is going to be waiting for you at that first town. What it is, whether it's useful, whether you're going to have a jet seed, or it could be sitting here for a half an hour trying to figure out how to get to Provoca area. It's interesting. I love the variety of this, and Dengwoo apparently doesn't care about anything. He's immediately going to the shops and finds Fade and Quad X and Ice 3. Nice mix.
That's some pretty good level 1 magic. This is a red mage seed.
Yeah, can't use it right now. It's a fighter.
Well, you have to find them first, but it is a red mage seed.
It's fantastic.
That's nice. Cabins, okay.
Yeah, it's savables. They've got flame swords at the shop if they don't find one. They really want to buy a weapon early. Nothing. This is shaping up to be a decent little set right now. And if you're curious why it is that Dengwoo's game looks different from Caleb's, it's because Dengwoo's using an unofficially official winter theme for his ROM. It doesn't really change anything about how his game works. It just makes it look fun and wintry because, it's winter right now.
Alright, so Dengwoo is going to make a play to the king, get the early item, and it's the ship which is going to open him up to access to, 3 towns in short order, 1 in less short order. Actually, 2 in less short order. But
it'll be 3 towns.
Or does he go for Garland?
It'll be 3 towns, but it will basically provide him access to 2 character classes that he can get to in short order, so he can see what else is available to him. If he wants to make the sail over to Onrak as well, he could. Of course, Melman, not having a clinic, doesn't have a pub in this flag set, and he's not going to be able to do much there. Well, that is, of course, except for the fact that it's Town Shuffle, so everything I said is wrong.
Randomizer likes to do that to you. So Caleb has now picked up his ship, and the Oxyale will give us access to the Sea Shrine, so...
wherever it may be.
Yay.
Yeah. On-rack, of course, is randomized in wherever the town is shuffled to. So we don't know where that on-rack location is going to be, but as soon as they find it, they could go take on Kraken area, I guess?
Maybe with Brack, but we don't have Brack right now. What we do have is a Danny, by the way, doing the tracking, so Danny the Fantastic One, who was doing some tracking for us for SGLive. We were just on a Discord call, so
Yeah,
she
it's
was
our
giving
whole
us
team.
notes and stuff to help us sound smart.
Yeah, she does. She makes us sound smart, and then she yells at us when we sound dumb. And that's really on us. It's not on her. It's just our fault. But Danny is the best. We love Danny.
Black belts are available at Crescent Lake.
And Warp looks like it's at level 6. I also saw Lock 2 there, so good magic at a bad spot. Missile was at the pub there in the Gaia area.
That had the black mages, but I wasn't sure what town that was. Was that Elfland? Probably because of how soon we got there.
We found, I think Onrak was over at Provoca. Crescent Lake here with the Adamant at the Old Man, I believe, is Elfland because this is purple. And we haven't seen yet what's at the Melmond area.
Okay, what we do have from the sages is the Adamant, so it's time for a trip to see our good friend Smithy Bigbeard Sword.
And as Crabcakes lets us know, the reason he didn't grab a Black Mage right there, despite the great magic they have at level 1, is because the Black Mages were also too hideously expensive currently. Pro Rings for $5,000, just caught that. That's nice.
That is a nice, cheap price for them. Good news is with the Adamant, we're going to route in a couple treasure checks anyways, so maybe we get a nice pile of money from the dwarves. Nice.
Finding the Adamant or the TNT, whichever one you particularly happen to find, this time it's the Adamant here, is nice on the Circle C because you can route in that dwarf check early, although Dengwoo apparently decided not to, and he's moving on towards the Melmond area first. Can't say I hate this choice. Maybe find another town. If you find Provoca, you can get Bicky out of the way as well. It's a good move early on, and it's Lufane. But there is a class here. You can find out what's here. And it's white mages, so that fade that we found earlier could be useful. Can't afford it. Can come back later.
Yeah, nice save reset strats there, so it works out. And it could have been another town that had an item shop, so you could potentially find out what your vendor item was from that play. Also, like you said, it could be Provoca and offer us another item check and more magic. Or Elfland for level 3 and 4 magic. But it's none of those wonderful possibilities. It was Lufane.
I love the fact that in this winter sprite set, his treasure chests are little gift boxes. That's just great. Find the TNT. Lazy dwarves.
Apparently, Smithy McBeardsword and Narek aren't on speaking terms.
It's a deep and long-running feud that's been carried for generations, and it's a dwarf generation, remember? So that's like 500 years at a set right there. This takes a long time, and apparently it all ended up with a Masamune for that TNT. Not a bad pickup considering where they're at with their classes.
Realistically, it's the best pickup this early because the melee power is just going to brute force you through a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you end up having to go check out a place like Marsh Cave or something, which they could because they don't know which incentivized location could be on or off, or they may just feel like they want to go over there anyway. That sword's good for that. Really, Masamune on even a low-level character is good for most of the game before you really have to start thinking about just like dumping the high-level magic or running.
Yeah, it's also going to be great for those individual boss situations like the Eye in Ice Cave, like Astos. Hooray!
Hooray! Twice. 3 times. Caleb really just wants to rack it. He really wants to rack up those hooray points, make sure that, if it's the memes that win the game, he gets the memes.
So you see them sailing under the bridge, which obviously they didn't have to find. Normally, vanilla game, King would build it. No, you wouldn't. There wouldn't be a bridge there.
No, that's okay. It's the canal.
That's the free canal. That would be Narek blowing things up. But we put a bridge there to prevent softlock scenarios as the game was evolving with the progression, because, you could go down, fight Astos, and all of a sudden get a canal behind you, and your boat's on the other side, and that's not good.
Something to point out, along with that fade, since they actually decided to take a white mage and not the red mage we were kind of hoping for, They also picked up, Dengwoo did, Cure 3, which is a great pickup at this point in the game with how low level they are, because that's like instant healing from any point you're at, back up to full for a little while, and it's just nice to have that extra healing. Besides which, the only things you're going to be doing with them is Fade and Curing, so good time for the right White Mage right there.
We're seeing treasures in Matoya and Temple of Fiends that we did not earlier. Matoya turned out to have the better money. Temple of Fiends, not much of anything. But Dengwoo did not do this earlier. He's gonna probably one-shot with... Well, that's a thing. Probably gonna one-shot with Masamune, if not Fade.
So I'm guessing the Grinch is Garland, because I missed where he was, but that... Yep, yeah. Grinch was Garland. Okay. And I saw that the black orb behind them was a Christmas tree. This flag set, this seed... sprite set's really screwing up my head.
Sure, wow. You can blame it on that.
No, it's fair.
It's stockings.
It's fair. Yeah, I'm also just screwed up in the head. I won't deny that. But no, I like the Caleb's play of going and really looting out Matoya because he wants the Black Mage for those extra spells. It's good magic that we saw was there, and he just wants the stopping power of what they have there. So anything he can use to get that.
Also noteworthy of how Tavern Mode works is he replaced the Thief that he started the game with, which means that Black Mage will inherit all of the levels and experience of that Black Mage. Equipment will carry over and be in the inventory, but not equipped. Nothing will be equipped. And if you're replacing a mage, spells will not carry over.
Yeah. So you have to rebuy all your spells, and then you do get full complement of charges. I think pretty much everything gets filled for the most part. You get like a good set of stats on your characters. You get all the magic back. It's a nice way to like upgrade.
Have to stay in an inn.
Yeah. We have a question from Selru X in the chat asking if this is a multi-person race. No, this is specifically a two-runner head-to-head for them to decide a tiebreaker between them. They are currently 8-8 in our flag set that we ran for SGLive back in October, because we did a whole marathon of these leading up to it. And they ended up with a tie, and they wanted to break their tie. So this is them breaking their tie. Ooh, level Life 2 and Invis over at the Melman Magic Shop for white magic, and then not a whole bunch of nothing at the black.
Noteworthy, this is Zozo Melmond, so any of these desert/rotted earth tiles are eligible to have an encounter.
I saw Opal... Yeah, just like that. I saw Opal Shield and Armor sitting at that armor shop, along with silver bracelets. If you really can't find anything good for your knight, and you just kind of want to power through the game at a certain point, you can get yourself the decent, not the top line, because it doesn't have all the protections, but really decent armor there if you're willing to spend the money, and then just carry 2 tanks with you. That's not bad.
Poor Danny. Got exhausted from the holidays, had to take a nap. Right,
apparently, so Dengwoo doesn't like Danny the way we do.
A lot of progression right now.
Not yet.
We need Canoe to really start opening things up. As far as incentive locations we have access to, we know Earthcave is possible. That'll be the vampire chest. And we've not seen the Onrak entrance, which is potentially Provoca. Because we've not found Provoca yet either.
Provoca can have a key item there. Marshlocked is going to have a key item, but of course we can't get to it because we don't have the key. Earthcave is going to have it, and they can access that even without the rod because it's the treasure chest right before the rod block. And then, Ice Cave, Ordeals, all of those standard places, Waterfall, they're all blocked to them right now. So it's going to be either on-rack area or that Earthcave chest is going to have their progression, basically.
Well, Chad would like to know how incentive locations work. The key items / bonus items that are put into that pool will be in either usually the vanilla locations, like in this case, this is NPC shuffles, so you have the king, you have the princess, and they are eligible places for the key item, like where we got the ship and the Oxio from. Then you have treasure locations that can be incentivized. So we were talking about the vampire chest, which normally has the ruby in vanilla game. You've also got locations like Ice Cave, which is going to be the treasure chest behind the eye, etc. like that. So when we talk about those locations, we know where in those locations an incentive treasure would be, because it's usually the same as where it would be in the vanilla game.
Yeah, it's
Just
one of those
a
things.
different item.
It's one of those things that always catches me in my head, because certain, like, caves can be on or off, but there's one cave that quote-unquote is always on, and that's Waterfall Cave, because it's not a treasure chest that's incentivized there, but the NPC in there. And since all the incentivized NPCs are generally always on, Tempered, Bane, Lit 3, and Nuke at the level 4 Black Magic shop, that is stacked.
That's not the only thing that's stacked, because this item shop has the Mystic Key for sale for the
There you
low price
go.
of 43,000 gold.
Ooh! Ouch!
So that appears to be our progress.
Yeah.
That would unlock not only a whole lot of treasure, it would unlock an incentive location in
Marshlocked.
the Marsh Cave.
Yep.
Which would be the lower right room on the treasure floor. It's guarded by wizards.
Although it is worth pointing out that the various areas they have access to, and that Mystic Key unlocks a bunch more. The Canaria Locked area, all the various Marsh Locked areas, the Dwarf Treasury, those kinds of things. Those are all going to be accessible for the players once they buy that key. And there are 2 loose key items in the pool that can be anywhere with the way this flag set is set up. So who knows, that Mystic Key may unlock more than one key item and not just the Marshlocked location.
You know what would be great? If we had the Mystic Key, we could get to a whole bunch of money, and then we'd have the money to buy the Mystic Key. That'd be great.
Well, with the magic that they have available to them right now, including that Ice 3 and the Fade at level 1, it's feeling, much as I hate normally suggesting this, much as no one wants me to suggest this, but it feels more and more like maybe, just maybe, a pop grind might be on the table.
Alternate strat would be dip your toes in the Earth Cave and go from the entrance to check the first floor treasures. And, if you find the big money, no whammy 65k in there, you've got the money for the Mystic Key. Not great odds, but it gives you a chance at that play, and it is an alternate option.
Well, we have seen a number of weapon shops selling decent gear, and if they found a duplicate of that decent piece of gear, like Flame Sword, for example, sitting in Marsh Cave, they could sell one of those items, not have to get quite as much from a treasure chest in the process, and potentially get their money off of just a few quick sales and whatever else they find.
Bracket level 3, that's pretty big piece of information, considering it helps you kill 2 of the fiends. Quake also helps you kill another of the fiends, so that's also not bad. Another point that was raised in chat that I think is worthy of repeating is, in terms of what is actually incentivized in any given run, as opposed to the total available options, those flags are generally set before the run starts. Although sometimes there's what we call tri-state, where it could be or it might not be, and you don't know when you're rolling the seed whether or not it is. So in this case, we know there is a 50-50 chance of Titan's Trove, which is where the Titan who you feed the ruby to, that being an incentive location. So it could be, it could not be, and we won't know till we get there. We need the ruby to find out, or find everything otherwise.
And if you're curious what the progression items, the various key items may be that are in the pool, we have the various fetch quest items, your herb, your crystal, your adamant, the various vehicles, the ship, the canoe, and the floater, which leads you to the airship. And then things like the key, the loot, the tail, those all are there. The other items that are in the pool are the Mazamoon, the defense sword, and the opal bracelet. Items that you would traditionally have found just in a treasure chest somewhere in the game. Those 3 are incentivized in the pool and will come from one of our incentive locations we discussed earlier. So that's part of what gets our incentive locations that we have on to like 18 and 19, because we're not sure if Titan's Trove is going to be on or not. And we have 21 items, including those 3, the Mazmoon, the Defense, and the Opal as well.
And that dates back pretty far in the randomizer. It was something that Introber did early on with the item shuffle, rather than have it just be the same things in the same places all the time. He added the Masamune and a ribbon to the pool so that even if you didn't find a key item, at least you'd find something good.
Yeah. The other question that we had in chat was from Air Oracle, or I'm sorry, I'm destroying your name, asking how long does this run usually take? This particular flag set that we've had, Triton, I believe tends to run an hour and a half to an hour 45 from what we saw Dengwoo and Caleb do in the past. We did have one that went over 2 hours from these 2 runners doing it, and I believe the race that you and I had, which was a horrendous version of this flag set, that one also went a little over 2 hours, like 2:04, I believe, was your time.
Yeah, that was an experience. That seed was promptly thrown in the trash and burned and accidentally maliciously destroyed.
Yes. I also want to point out that Dengwoo looks like to be our first runner to go into Earth Cave. He is checking what treasures are available along the way. Easy to get to anyway. And then he is going to be checking and seeing what is in that incentive chest, so we know one more piece of the puzzle.
Follow-up question is, do the runners see the flags beforehand? Yes, they do. That doesn't always tell them everything, because we were talking about the tri-state thing before, but it gives them a good general picture, and they know most of the information.
They'll know all but one location, essentially.
Just yet is the spell shuffle on items. So we found a Sleep 2 shirt, which would normally either be the black or the white shirt.
Yep.
We don't know which, but it could be either one. And so that's one less spell that they have, which is kind of unfortunate, because if it's the black shirt, then that means we lost Ice 2, and if it's the white shirt, that means we lost Invis 2.
Not that we couldn't find Invis 2 on something else in the process.
We could, just not as likely. So a heal staff rolls up to a heal 3 staff, and that's very good news.
That's the heal staff +2?
+1. I believe it's heal 2.
Is it heal 2?
All of the spell items were level 2.
I think there's been confusion in the past for me on whether or not heal was one of those, so I'm glad to get some clarification on that. So heal staff +1.
Question in chat: are they playing fully blind? They're not playing fully blind. It's a question of they don't know about the Titans.
Yeah, the one time we tried to make everything tri-state on them, they turned it back off because they thought we'd done that in error. Jerks.
Right, so
the Dengwoo White
thing I feel like pointing out right now is these bats. They're very much a thing, and in Randomizer they're actually nicer because a couple of the bats have been moved out of the way.
Oof. So yeah, it looks like Dengwoo wiped. Must have been against the Earth Elementals, because I remember seeing him fighting that. I answered a question, and then spontaneously, Dengwoo was restarting this dungeon. And that lets Caleb catch up on this matter, because Caleb is basically in the same spot Dengwoo is for this dive. And so the amount of progression the two are going to make is pretty head-to-head again.
Yeah, actually, you can even make a case. Well, it's kind of more of a push than it first seems like, because Caleb has cleared the first floor, and I believe Dengwoo was actually waiting to do that last.
True.
So they've each got some ground the other is not seen yet. Okay, Septimus says it's heal and not heal 2, and I believe Septimus.
Oh, I will accept Septimus at face value every time. So there we go. What I had heard was correct. It is a +2 staff now because it's heal 3. Good to know. Thank you, Septimus.
Well, this is why people aren't always a fan of diving Earth Cave. Mummies having toxic can just decide you are dead.
Yeah.
And also, we had already seen the arachnids with trance, and that can really shut you down for a long time when it's AoE stun and you've got low magic defense. And
so we have trance spiders and toxic mummies. The two dungeons they have easy access to are both really kind of blocked to them, and that's Final Fantasy for you right there. Welcome to the randomizer, folks.
The arachnids will be a thing in Marsh Cave.
Yep.
they're not going to run.
The mummies will be, but I mean, the mummies are only a thing here. I'm just saying, like, between the two dungeons and what could show up, that's a bit rough.
Yeah. Hardcore, however, will take them out if you get initiative. So, at the moment, Caleb
always the if.
Just dodged.
I always hate it when I'm racing and that happens, and like I see all the awful stuff, and then the person I'm racing against is like, man, I had no problems in this dungeon. It was so easy. Everyone get out your glow sticks, because we do have trance spiders, apparently. So, assuming we can get through this at some point, and they can manage to work their way back out afterwards, because, bear in mind, I don't think they have access to exit or warp at a decent level right now, so they're going to have to walk back out once they've gotten through this Earth Cave. Like, what are we hoping for here in this incentivized treasure chest?
I mean, canoe is the dream item if you're a runner right now, because you're going to need it. Even door glitch. Even if you get the floater, which is what you really, really want, it doesn't do you any good until you have the canoe to actually be able to turn in the floater.
Yeah,
so
because
the sooner you get that, the less place it has to hide.
Yeah, we have open progression, but not extended open on, which is part of the reason why you can see them doing their walk around the Circle C, because traditionally, when you're playing the standard game, you couldn't walk over to Dwarf Cave with your ship. Like, now, they're sailing, of course, but they could walk over there, and they can walk down to certain areas. With extended open, they'd be able to walk the whole river system, and, like, through it without having to worry about the canoe, and they could actually park their ship over at the Ryukon Desert, where the floater can be turned in. None of that is available to them right now, though, with open progression. They can't walk the river system by Astos, and they can't park their ship. So they're going to need that canoe, not only to get to, like, Waterfall Cave and Ordeals and all that, but they're just going to need it so they can get that floater turned in.
Another thing worthy of pointing out, if you're familiar with Final Fantasy I, you're aware that certain encounters are unrunnable, such as those Earths. It's a vanilla ruby. How about that? And we do have exits, so we're going to see
there we go.
This in.
Hey, at least he got exit. Okay. I missed where exit was. I am glad I missed where exit was, because that would have been punishing for them otherwise. Woo!
So you see this Titan, by the way, has been moved. That was a change Nitz did some time ago in order to block these treasures so that you'd still have a reason to need the ruby even if you had the airship.
Well, and this is nice because this not only gives them access to this treasure chest that could have something, which
does.
Is the bottle, which gets them a turn-in for Gaia that we know is that, but it also opens up Sarda for them, so that's another like trade-in that they can do. Well, check-in, anyway.
Now, we've not... I don't think we've actually... We did see Onrak, actually. Yeah.
Onrak? No, we need Gaia.
Gaia for the turn. You're right. Yeah, I don't think we have Onrak, we have Gaia.
Yeah, Elflin was at the Onrak area, so Elflin was at the Onrak area, so Onrak has to be either in Lufane or Gaia.
Also, we're getting some decent levels at this point, and because of the Ruby, we have access to the Sarda, so this ends up being a 2-item check for Caleb instead of just 1 as far as key items. He's also gotten some decent money now.
Get that key soon and can continue his progression. The seed opened up, apparently, and we didn't even realize it.
Well, not dying to mummies will do that for you. There's the lab, which actually opens up another check.
Yeah.
Because we have Melman for Dr. Un, and we have Lefane.
Yep. So that ruby actually unlocked, 3 extra checks for them? That's a lot of progress they get to make in short order from that Earth Cave. We went from only having 2 places they could really go because of the lack of key items to suddenly everything being open to them.
So just to touch on this, because I don't really think I put a bow on it, encounters that are unrunnable have been shuffled from the vanilla game, so like the Earths would normally have been unrunnable, now you can run in them in this seed, and as part of that change, it's been set so that when you cannot run from an encounter, it will say wait, and if it says run, you are able to run from it. Doesn't mean you'll succeed, but you can try.
It is very useful, and it's a great feature I love for this because, yeah, I mean, if you didn't know what was runnable or unrunnable, you would be really lost at this point with the runnable shuffle being on. Of course, to make a note of that, despite the unrunnable shuffle or being in effect, the one encounter that you're always going to find that is unrunnable is going to be the Wiz Sahag, Red Sahag over in the Kraken Dungeon Sea Shrine, because that one is actually attached to the pirate battle with Mickey, and to get the pirate battle to remain unrunnable so you can actually fight it properly, the Wiz Sahag, Red Sahag battle has to be unrunnable as well, and so far, although I know the devs are working on it, cannot be turned off from that.
The other vanilla encounter that will remain unrunnable is the Iron Golems. They're just significantly more rare because it's Warmech rarity. However, guess what I got in my D-Rest run today? Right before I got to the staircase, there was an Iron Golem.
Question in chat about what usually is in the vanilla vamp chest. It is the ruby, so that's a vanilla ruby right there. Not even French vanilla. It's right in its exact location. So we can all feel
vanilla as it gets.
100% vanilla. That is pure vanilla ice cream right there. And of course, then you can
ice cream right now. It's hot.
Then of course you can enjoy the fact that you can play regular Final Fantasy and continue onwards. Hey, the canoe.
Canoe from the ferry, so that's going to open up a lot of stuff for us. It gives us access to the waterfall that we did not previously have access to. Also, for dungeons, it opens up the volcano and the ice cave. The ice cave being a incentive location. Also, Castle Ordeal's an incentive location. Volcano just required because orbs.
Yeah, that Earth Cave is basically the key to everything. You do Vampire Dungeon there, you have to double dip Earth Cave essentially. It's required, and then you're good to go. Game opens up at that point.
So Dengwoo is now checking the first floor of Earth that he didn't do earlier. Just because it's a quick check if things didn't work out the way you wanted. I just thought in this seat it made a little more sense to get there early because if it had the money for your key.
Mm-hmm.
Which we ought to be pretty close to right now.
Yeah, if they're not there already.
An interesting play by Caleb.
It is indeed.
So it's a shorter trip to the town for sure, and I guess he hasn't been to this one before.
If he didn't realize what was here, and he gets to do his lap turn in now, which he did need to do.
Yes,
in the process, he
can also get to those two dungeons from here, but I don't think he will.
Well, it depends. If he's looking at his money and sees he doesn't have enough, a dive into Volcano could get him the money, and he's got the levels at this point. I think Carrie probably wouldn't be an issue, assuming Carrie is still lurking in her dungeon, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Well, I mean, you also have Masamune, so that makes the levels a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, between Fade and Masamune and some basic buffing they got. But Caleb decides that Volcano's not where he wants to be. He's exiting back out to his ship.
We don't have a lot of equipment, so the defense isn't necessarily where you'd like it. The other big factor, though, is, well, we need money for the keys, so they haven't gone and bought 99 heal potions.
Ooh, yeah. Oof. That is true.
And you kind of want that for going to Volcano. What Dengwoo is going to do now is turn in that ruby, and hopefully remembers to check Titan's Trove coming back the other way, because that's important. It leads to the canoe.
Yeah, he needs that.
Kind of, yeah.
Just a little.
It's sort of required. Dengwoo checks the nothing here room to see that, in fact, there is still nothing there. For now. Never know when one of the devs will change that.
I mean, it's nice to meme once in a while.
One of the commentators loud. That might actually be me. So, I'm gonna make an adjustment.
I mean, I'm always loud, so it could just be that I'm being loud. Who knows? Yep, apparently I'm the loud one. I knew that. Let me adjust my settings, people, so I'm not deafening everyone.
Well, we try to accommodate as we find out LaFane has the crown. And good thing is, we are right next to this northwest castle and able to see what the crown leads to. Also, Dengwoo did remember to check out what was going on in the Titan's Trove.
Yeah, I'm using a non-standard setup for myself tonight, so if I was a little loud there, I apologize, everyone. I have tweaked myself down just a little to not deafen everyone.
Hey, it's no problem, chat. We want to get this right. And goodbye, Astos. I did not see what he gave us.
Things, stuff, progression. Loot. Looks like it could have been the loot, because I see the loot right there.
Okay. Well, that's also what Danny the Fantastic One has written in chat, so I mean, over and saw that.
If we remember to check her notes, which is, yeah. Oh, Lufane had the crown. I missed that. So there we go. Sometimes it's nice for me to give myself a recap.
You want to run through the whole list if you got that in front of you? We're a half hour in.
I can do that. So here's a quick recap for you. Wandering through this the game so far, we saw that the king had the ship, and once you saved her, Sarah had the Oxale after you defeated Garland, or in the case of Dengwoo, you defeated the Grinch. From there, the sages that were available had the Adamant, the Blacksmith had the TNT, which you could then turn into Narek to get the Mazamoon. Very lovely. The vendor is the key. Vendor item is the key at Elfland for 43,000. I'm not certain anyone has actually bought that yet. Earth Cave, which was one of our incentivized locations, had the ruby, a vanilla ruby, which then led you to turn that in at the Titan. Titan's Cave had the bottle. Meanwhile, Sarda, which you could also access, had the slab. Take that slab, take the bottle over to the Gaia area, which was lurking over at the Provoca town, I believe. That one was the canoe from the ferry. Lufane with that slab becomes the crown, and the crown turned into Astos is the loot. Very nice indeed.
So while you were doing that, we had Caleb sail up here to Castle of Ordeals, which you're able to access using the boat canoe method. And it's important to note that we have pillar shuffles. So as opposed to vanilla, where you just had to take the lower one, this one time you have to actually figure out where stuff is, what it leads to.
What rooms go after other rooms. And of course, you also get the lovely remix music of the Castle of Ordeals theme. Da, 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 da.
So, we are...
Man-cats. Surprise, man-cats!
Caleb has found his way through the pillar maze. It's made much easier if you have warp, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Warp is fantastic here. It's something that you wouldn't know when you play the vanilla game, because you can't have warp here, because warp is tail-locked, and the tail is at Ordeals. But warp allows you to bounce back to the previous quote-unquote room, floor, whatever you're in. And since each of the pillar rooms counts as a warpable spot, if you take the wrong pillar, you can warp back to it and try a different one. Fantastic. Another place where you can use warp that you might see here from Dengwoo is the ice cave, where you can fall down a hole and warp back up through the hole to check the eye chest that is incentivized. Love that.
So it's possible to do that to skip the guarded, but in this case, it might be something where you really want to see that guarded, because with Masamune, we should be one-shotting the eye, and that could be really handy for getting a few levels off of. Things didn't go so well for Caleb there. He got stun-locked by the mummies and starting over. But he should know the path through here now.
Yeah,
as much of it as he remembers anyways.
He did get stuffed, and as we saw earlier, those mummies are not fun.
Yeah, he's probably feeling a lot better about that Earth Cave play if he actually remembers running into them.
He's like, wait, the mummies were this bad? How did I miss that?
Alright, so we're also working through Ice Cave. One of the things that's going on is what's called script shuffle. So you have enemies in the game that, say, have the Fire 2 spell. With script shuffle, that script that has Fire 2 on it gets moved to a different enemy somewhere in the game. As a result, places like Ice Cave and Earth Cave, which have a wide variety of monsters, tend to become a little bit scarier, as they have a lot of chances to roll nasty stuff into some of these encounters.
Of course, at the same time, places like Ordeals, where you had to deal with the Death Touch sorcerers, sometimes feel a little easier, simply because the fact that those skills and touch effects can be moved to other monsters, and suddenly these places don't seem quite as bad. Now, we did have a question in chat asking about the fact that the Final Fantasy 1 on Speed Gaming is only broadcasting once a week, but a link to the past is near daily. Fans apparently really want to see more Final Fantasy 1. And if you want to see more Final Fantasy 1, have we got a deal for you? Because coming up in the middle of January is the annual, or I guess biannual really, Duck Derby, which is what we call our newbie showcase. It's going to be a tournament of 4 games spread across 2 weeks. So that's double the action right there for you every week, where you get to see our newbies compete to be the number 1 newbie, the Duckling Boss, or whatever it is we're calling it this year, and have fun with cash and prizes without the cash or the prizes, because this is all just for fun. Following that, I believe sometime in March or April, we will then have the spring tournament, which is going to have a whole lot of races for you to check out as we do our big flagship tournament coming up later this year. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that, and of course, continue watching Speed Gaming, because we'll continue having weekly races here.
We had the chime at the end of Castle Ordeals, and chat asking, was that a vanilla ice armor? Nobody knows, because nobody keeps track of where vanilla equipment was. Actually, for fun, I was doing some solo Red Mage challenges where I didn't shuffle the treasure. I ended up mapping out exactly as Blizzard Wolves are given Dengwoo the business.
That the I believe he's got a flame armor or flame shield on there, and that was what was protecting him. Of course, it doesn't help against thunder, and that was a long pause there from Dengwoo. He's like, did that really just happen?
Yeah, now that should be easy to avoid because he doesn't need anything he saw there.
Yeah, that's just a little painful because you feel like your progress is happening, and then you get a little shut back there. Dengwoo has suffered more than once in the seed. I feel for where he's coming from.
Now Caleb has the money for that key, and he will make the purchase, and we shall see what that leads to. Of course, for him, the dream would be it leads to the floater, and he's getting that before Dengwoo. If you'd like more information on the randomizer, well, recommend that you check out the website, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, which is the best place to start.
It's .com.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm quoting Speed Homestar Runner. It's .com. No, yeah, the randomizer website is going to be great for you. You can check out flags, you can find the Discord, you can hang out with all the cool people that play this and become a part of the community, which we invite you to. Now, Caleb is about to show us something very interesting here, and that is going to be Waterfall, which is randomized, procedurally generated. This waterfall layout is not going to be what you expect. Of course, then he defeats it for us because he immediately finds the room with the robot.
Too easy.
Way too easy.
But I mean, it's not like he ever made laps through here going the exact same path. That's not what never happened.
Oh, no. He didn't spend 15 minutes walking the same path over and over again on Waterfall. We never saw that.
Didn't happen.
No.
Level 16 now is a nice level, but Caleb is really low on heals. That is the floater, so Canoe gets you to the floater. You just had to come back up to the waterfall.
I will note that along with that floater, Ordeals, and I missed this, was the chime, because I was talking. So that's a couple of items that they can do. They can go check out the bottom half of Sky if they really want to, although still lacking the cube, so they couldn't finish it. But sometimes when you're looking for those 2 loose items, Sky is the place to go.
Well, now I know how much you've been listening to me. I told you it was the chime as soon as you finished talking.
I had stuff going on.
I literally waited until you didn't. Alright, so with the floater in hand, the pretty typical play would be beeline it to turn in.
Well, especially since...
If Caleb goes straight north from here, he comes up to the southern dock of Elfland, and he'll have to go a little bit further to the east to get to the desert. So that's why he's... That's not why he's doing this pattern, but this pattern will eventually work. Spectres had Bane for Dengwoo.
And Thunder.
So this is going to be dive number 3 into the ice cave.
Now, a dev or someone who's more familiar with this game would have to tell me this. I believe that was the second monster we've seen with Thunder, and there's only one instance of Thunder that I know of in the regular portion of the game, and that's why I said someone else would have to inform me otherwise, which I would think would indicate that Thunder is on the Medusa script.
Well, it's not entirely the Medusa script. That's the most prominent because there's 3 enemies that share that one script. I think there's 2 more sets of just a 2 script. So then it's just a question of once it's on that script, whatever monsters have that script have that spell. So yeah, it could be up to 3 monsters that have Bane.
What's rough is that it's 2 different monsters in here that both have that Thunder. So that makes, along with the Bane that we already saw, this is a particularly rough ice cave.
Yeah, now Caleb is going to do this with a little bit higher levels. But you're talking about stuff that's designed for you having a lot more magic defense than our runners have.
Yeah, the game expects you to be much farther along with much better equipment once you get into Ice Cave. And at least in the case of Dengwoo, with the amount of progress that he's made, he really doesn't have those levels or those stats under his belt.
Yeah, I also don't think he has warp because he hasn't just gone for the treasure and gotten out of here, which
at this point,
after a couple wipes you would want to do.
I mean, he's going to be able to finish clearing this, and if he can make it to the end and not have to stress about it, then that's a place that he can use his exit at, assuming he has it, and get out of here. It's just, this has been very rough for him. You've got to feel for him at this point. Stun Touch Wizards. Lovely.
Well, that's... that they were an unpleasant encounter in the vanilla game, so let's see what we got here. Caleb is going to do the strat you were talking about earlier, where he's able to get all 3 of these treasures without actually taking the fight. And he's got to find the herb.
Couple things going on in chat that I want to point out. First off, one of the chatters there asked if Dengwoo's items are not updating or if he's really 4 items behind. Dengwoo took a different path than Caleb, and it's entirely possible, I think, and actually probable, that he really is 4 items behind just because he's a little further behind on progress right now.
Well, he has not been up to Elfland to purchase the key. There's the loose crystal in this ice cave, so maybe it was a good thing he didn't have warp, or he would have gotten out of here without actually checking the eye. So Caleb went and purchased the key. Since he had the canoe, he went up to Waterfall, and he did that before Dengwoo as well.
And the other thing I want to point out, as we find the herb in the eye chest, and Dengwoo decides what he wants to do next, is that if you are interested in this, as the chat has been discussing, please do come to our Discord, hang out with all the great people. There is a lot of Duckling material, our new player material, and there's a lot that you can just do in the randomizer. We have training seeds, we have a whole boot camp that's going on right now. We will have our Duckling tournament coming up in January. If you're interested in the Final Fantasy randomizer, you like what you see here, you want to join it and have some camaraderie with the other new players as you learn the randomizer, we invite you to come, be a Duckling, and join all the stuff that we have going on right there. Meanwhile, that one chest that had the frost wolves that were thunderous was a harm staff. So, wow.
So the way Final Fantasy 1 encounters work is they're by formation, and what happened there is it's the same formation for both Caleb and Dengwoo, but Caleb ended up getting a better actual draw within that formation. It was less Frostwolves, which
I think it was like 7
a
versus
pleasant thing.
Like 6 or 7 for Dengwoo versus the 3 for Caleb, and Caleb got the better turn order on those 3, and that's all she wrote for that one.
Yeah, that's also Caleb one-shotting the ice cave and doing even that one-shot faster than Dengwoo was able to on his 3rd dive. So that's a significant time advantage for Caleb right now. Plus, because he was able to get the floater, that means he was able to get the airship, and he has that on Dengwoo for now. But what is good for Dengwoo is he's into Volcano and has a chance to still be making progress even without the airship. So that's not as costly as it could be.
And bear in mind, we do know that there's still one key loose incentivized item out there. Now, they could gamble at this point and assume they're not going to need it. We know that there's a 50-50 shot, just if it's just one of the 2 key items, of it being the tail and not the rod. And there's still the opal bracelet and the... I'm sorry, brain locked up for a second. The defense sword there. So, more than likely, they aren't going to need whatever key item it is or the loose item it is. They can just gamble and move on. I know, like in a position like this, I would gamble. So if he
Is
didn't want
Caleb's stream like frozen for you?
No.
You're starting to make me wonder. He just found the defense sword, which
Did
is
he?
the saber sword.
I'm sorry, I was looking at Dengwoo. So there we go. Well, okay.
Apparently you play favorites today.
Does it say saber or does it say saber sword icon?
It says saber, capital letters. That's the defense.
Without a sword icon.
Correct.
I'm asking. Okay, because we had this discussion a couple weeks, like a couple of games ago when they found the Bane.
Well, also, it was from the Prince.
Okay. Okay, well then we're good.
So there's that minor detail.
Then we're good. Then we're fine, and it's all good. Okay. I missed that because I was keeping an eye on Dengwoo at that point, so I will take the hit for that one. That is on me. Then never mind.
That's what it is. You're hearing me tell you these things. You just don't believe me when I say them.
Nope, I don't. I think you're wrong somehow. Well, that still does leave the opal. My point still stands. That still leaves the opal out there. Along, because I'm pretty sure they haven't found that right now. I'm sure 5 seconds from now you're going to tell me I'm wrong. But until such time as you do. Which means that with the tail, if they don't want a class change, and they know where black belts are, so maybe they don't, and the opal in the pool along with the rod, that's still a 33% chance that the rod is the only thing that they have to worry about. I think I would still take that gamble and just try and run without really digging too many chests at this point.
You can always do a surface level play where you're just grabbing stuff that is on your way, but there's also no sense in not checking the incentive locations first. Pro Ring, that was not an incentive location, although in vanilla game that's where you would get the crown, and that is a place you can opt to incentivize in the randomizer. It's just in this case we incentivized the locked room so that it requires the mystic key, and you really don't want to double incentivize Marsh if you value friendships with other players.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. That's terrible. Don't make them double dip. Friendships have been lost over that, just like they've been lost whenever you play the board game Diplomacy. There are certain things you just shouldn't do.
So we have Dengwoo working through the volcano. There is no incentive items here. There is potentially good experience available here, but I think at this point he's probably looking to go as fast as he can to make up time. I don't think he'll stop and do, say, Agamas unless they are just ridiculously easy. And there's the rod from the Marsh Cave.
See?
Hey, Dark Moon, Caleb just found the rod in the Marsh Cave.
What I'm hearing you saying is we're still looking for the rod. Got it. Okay.
Alright, so based on the location, I suspect that'll mean Caleb will go straight to the Earth Cave, and there is ribbon number 1 located for the Woo Man in Volcano.
Which, that does color what I said before, because you got, like, I'm just commentating here and apparently doing it poorly, but part of what you have to remember is that you need certain gear, and you can't buy the ribbons. So if you haven't found a ribbon yet, and you're sitting there going, do I want to gamble yet? That kind of colors your gambling a little, because you need a ribbon or 2 to make it through this game, especially in the last area. Now that he has got a ribbon, I would be back to being like, do I gamble? Do I not? We, of course, know that the rod is in a good location, and if you don't mind black belt strats, gambling is probably not a bad idea.
Another thing we may not have actually mentioned is we have RNG shuffle, so we're seeing different encounters than you would in the vanilla game. The vanilla game, if you start from power on in any dungeon, you're going to see the same encounter in the same number of steps every single time. That's how the encounters work in this game. However, because of RNG shuffle, we'll see the same encounter every time, but it's a different first encounter than you would normally see, which makes it a lot harder to plot out your route through a dungeon of what enemies you want to avoid, etc.
We had a question in chat asking about what Go mode technically entails. Go mode, technical Go mode, is simply that you have all the key items you need to make it through this game. That would be the key and the loot that are required to get you through the Temple of Fiends, because there's a locked door there that you might not have ever known was there because you never thought about it when you went in there in the vanilla game, and you could just unlock every door automatically. And you need the loot to get rid of the slab at the start. Now, of course, in the vanilla game, you got the loot from Sarah, and again, never had to think about it. Beyond that, you need the rod so you can get through Earth Cave. You need the chime and the cube so you can get through the Air Cave. And you need the oxyl so you can get through the Water Cave. Plus, of course, you need the canoe in one form or another so you can make it through to the volcano one way or another. So that's what you need for Go mode in this game. Now, just because you're in Go mode doesn't mean you want to be in Go mode. There may be equipment you still need to find, ribbons like we were discussing. There may be levels you need to get. Caleb is in technical Go mode, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he actually wants to be there just now.
Found out you can kill the red dragons with Quad X, but Dengwoo not going to take advantage of that for anything extra. And good news for Caleb is that he's checking chests in here, so he should find that same ribbon that Dengwoo did earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.
Yep.
Hey, Dark Moon, Caleb just found a ribbon.
I don't know what you're talking about. Now, so this is a question, though. Depending upon the strategy they're going to take, how many ribbons they care about is a thing. Because, for instance, with your fighter, you might want to worry about Aegis Shield and Dragon Armor, because that will give you the effective level of a ribbon. You may find a second ribbon and be happy. Or if you're playing with a black belt and you decide to take them up to like 42, 42 is effectively as good a magic defense as a ribbon. More or less, quote unquote. So it's where, depending upon your strategy for this game, you may be perfectly happy with one ribbon and don't want to do any further.
One ribbon is usually enough. You'll live with it, but you probably are still going to pick up easy stuff along the way. We've got Carrie for the first time over here for Dengwoo. Is Quad X enough now? It is not. Carrie still has over 300 HP. She is susceptible to Quad X if the HP is low enough. Which is usually not that hard to get to, especially with all the offense that we have. Bosses scale from 40% to 250%. So for something that's purely HP like that, she could easily be in Quad X range as soon as you get there.
Do you want to yell at me that Carrie is dead now and that he has the fire orb lit? Because I'll let you yell at me about that.
No, that was on Dengwoo's side. You were watching.
I was just waiting for it to happen. I've actually been keeping up with you recently, so... Yeah, I noticed that Caleb right now is mostly just working on his Agama grind, or he was, until he decided to run away the second I was going to point it out. But that's the Agama grind is really nice, if you haven't already talked about it, Trenton. Just because it's 2 tiles back-to-back that you don't... Did you already talk about this?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You're fine.
Thank you. Good. It's 2 tiles back-to-back that you don't have to worry about getting other encounters on, so you can just grind up and down on those Agamas, and they seemed really easy to kill this time around. So that's good experience you can get pretty quickly. I think most of the time when we're talking about leveling or level grinding, we talk basically in terms of Agamas because they're easy to get to, and they're a good amount of experience. Maybe not the best in the game, but good, especially considering where their tiles are at. So it's a great place to do your grind and get a few levels out of the way. It looks like Caleb decided to go to high teens, low 20s for his, so that's probably going to be most of what he wants for his fighter grind to make it through the end game.
Yeah, the Agama encounters are particularly well known because they are a well-known part of the vanilla speedrun. It's where you get enough levels to actually be able to battle Carrie, because, you know, it's kind of important to a speedrun to actually be able to beat bosses.
She's kind of rough, too, especially in the vanilla game.
So the Agamas are used for that. They're about halfway in terms of all the monsters for experience given, but if they're easy to kill, then it's a question of getting fast experience. And Caleb has bested Carrie. Darkmoon, what does that mean he has now?
I'm sorry, I was reading chat. I missed what you said.
Caleb has fire.
Oh, there we go. Did he just kill Carrie? Is that what you were prompting me about? Because I made a joke about it earlier.
Yeah, I'm
never going to live this down.
I don't know what the score is between us, but...
Clearly you're the better commentator. I'm just going to leave that right there.
So that opal armor for sale is useful with class change because it's tied for best absorb.
It's the thing of, with that ribbon, You put the ribbon, the opal armor, and the opal shield on your character, and you have effectively the same amount of protection as you would from the dragon armor and the Aegis shield. Actually, it's probably slightly better, but quote unquote. It's quote unquote. So if you have the ribbon on your opals, you're doing just about the same as you would with the dragon Aegis, and you're good right there, and you don't have to go digging. I doubt either of them are going to go digging with this fighter-based seed because of the opals being easy where they were, that one ribbon, and just not caring.
Alright, so we have a little divergence on the paths now. Caleb is going to make a beeline for the basement of this earth cave. Dengwoo is heading south, which is north, because that's how directions work when the world is round. And he's going to be up to the Onrak area. Got the canoe now, so he's also able to get to the waterfall, which is what's eventually going to lead him to the airship.
Yeah, it's the thing of they have to have a divergent path, even though they've been following each other for a little while, because Dengwoo hasn't done a bunch of the checks that Caleb has. He now has to go through and do all those checks and get all of that out of the way, which I think is going to put him, rough estimate, 5 to 8 minutes behind, probably. He's got the levels in the gear now where he's not going to have to stress too much, but he is definitely behind by a few minutes. Not that Topher can't easily balance that all out.
The big thing for Dengwoo was the dives into Earth Cave.
Mm-hmm.
Not Earth Cave, into Ice Cave.
Ice
not
Cave.
going well. He had 2 wipes in there, had to get it on the 3rd try. Caleb had done Waterfall first. He went in with higher levels, a little bit better equipment, and better spells, and just one-shot the Ice Cave. And if I recall right, was actually out of the Ice Cave before Dengwoo finished his 3rd dive.
Yeah, Caleb had a really... I don't even think I saw Caleb wipe once, so he had a really easy time there. The game was just kind to Caleb right now. That's how this randomizer works. I know I have played in seeds where people are like, man, I can't get through this dungeon. I get 8 floors deep and everything kills me, and I just like bebop my way through it. Don't see any problem whatsoever. Of course, I've had that happen to me where I'm the one getting like attacked by the game and everyone else has it easy. So it's just the randomizer. Rando gonna rando sometimes.
Now Dengwoo has the key, which is going to be very necessary because we know that leads to the rod. We've got Lich hanging out here. He is susceptible to Quake. It's not going to be a high percentage thing, but it does work if you throw enough casts out there. Won't be necessary, though, because Fade takes care of business.
We had a question in chat asking what the Warmech flag is. The Warmech is going to be required. So when you go into that Sky Palace, you're really not so worried about the boss there at Tiamat's place. What you're really concerned with instead is the Warmech that's going to be blocking the entrance in there, because he's going to be the real gatekeeper of that dungeon, not the Tiamat Square.
Here is our Onrak. So this is where the Sea Shrine access is to. That means that the Lefane location is going to be not required today. Unless you want spells. Dengwoo is into the waterfall. Going the wrong way, unfortunately.
Hey, Trenton. Question for you, because, I mean, I know I've been trying to pay attention, and I haven't seen anything out of the blue yet. Did we see Carrie at the Carrie tile and Lich at the Lich tile?
Yes, we did.
Which is interesting, considering the fact that the 4 original Fiends are supposed to be shuffled in this flag set. I believe that's the first time where we've gone 2 for 2 on these.
Could be.
Or the flag isn't working right now, and we'll find out soon enough. Sometimes that happens.
It worked for me earlier.
Well, there you go, then.
So, working through the depths of this Sea Shrine, Caleb, you were a step to the right too far. You missed a free tile. One of the fun things about this game, when you start to learn little tricks to it that you just didn't pick up casually, the tile in front of a door is never going to have an encounter on it. So if you're able to route that into your walking, it saves you steps towards the next encounter.
Yeah, that's one of those that pro strats that you figure out, you learn from the pros that play the game, and you just have to figure out how to route that into your own play and try not to screw up. I know every once in a while I take an extra step somewhere and I kick myself for wasting steps and then realizing, wait, no, I need to stay a little further on this wall to keep that door. You just practice over time, you get those kinds of strats down.
Yeah, so like right here in this room, Caleb is going to go straight down to the bottom and then he'll walk right to the door, because if he did it now, it would be extra steps towards the next encounter. But by walking along the wall, he won't be taking the extra steps.
Interestingly, Dengwoo knows how bad those mummies can be. He was really hoping the robot was going to walk over the tile. He could just talk to the robot and bail. Unfortunately, the robot wasn't having any of that and decided to wander away.
The good news for him is this ends up being an unrunnable formation, and the reason that's good news is because it means it can't ambush him. So he at least has a chance. He made the most of it.
And it seems like while the Wiz mummies, have poison touch, they didn't get anything else nasty, so I'll take poison touch over all the other crap that they were dealing with. Better than it could be. And now he has his floater, and he doesn't have to stress as much about it.
He'll be quite happy with that. Chat says they wish there was a way to get 2 Warmechs. Actually, there is, because you can have Forced Warmech, and you can also have Alternate Final Boss, which can be 2 Warmechs. So you can have 3 Warmechs.
Grand total. And of course, if you play with some of the experimental, well, not necessarily experimental, but some of the alternate flags we have on our beta and alpha channel, you can also get Warmech to be what they call Unleashed, and that actually puts them into the pool for certain areas, so you can run across Warmech, I think, just about anywhere with that flag.
Again, only do that if you're prepared to end friendships.
I mean, sometimes you'll end up with Warmech in the first tile outside the Circle C in Canaria, and then you're sitting there going, oh, if I could kill him, that'd be a great grind, but killing him is a bit of a problem.
Chad asks, what about a 9 Warmech battle? You actually couldn't do that because he's a giant sprite, so you can only have 4 Warmechs.
Well, you'd have to do what we do with some of the alt final bosses and change.
Josh, stop talking. Do you want to end friendships?
I'm just saying.
No, you're not. It's not allowed. Can't say that. Warmech, by the way, not Warmech. Tiamat is not going to be guarded by Warmech because he swapped places with Kraken. Kraken will be guarded by Warmech.
Ooh. So we did get a little bit of alternate,
Little shuffle.
Alternating.
Shuffle.
There we go. A little bit of shuffle. I was just interested. I'm sitting there going, wow, are we really going to go 4 for 4? I was intrigued. But no, the game had other designs for us.
So I guess he's looking for spells, because we know at this point this location's not required.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he's got to save back to the airship, so you can just reset if there's nothing valuable. Also,
Well, no, this area is local required. Well, I guess not required, but if he wants that tail, so he can class change and use opal gear, then this area feels required.
Fire 3, good black magic spell. Cure 4 is great white magic spell. Now you wish you had class change when you came here, so the knight can learn it.
He might double dip this. I mean, I'd hate double dipping it, but even I would sit there going, that Cure 4, maybe get that on my knights, maybe.
So, in particular, Bicky could have the opal bracelet, but what they want to see here is most likely the tail.
They want the tail right now. Ooh, Cremate. If they'd seen Provoker earlier, that would have really sucked, but Cremate's kind of chip damage now.
Yeah. Earliest days of the randomizer, back when we were doing the first tournament, we had to have a time limit rule on the pirates, because something like Cremate, when the pirates were forced early, like you'd go Garland, then pirates.
Oh!
That is the opal bracelet.
So the tail, if they want it, is loose.
Yeah. We had to have a time limit on the pirates so that we would re-roll the seed if you couldn't clear it within, say, 30 minutes. Because sometimes they'd have Cremate and you could just do nothing if you didn't have AoE magic.
So I don't believe we saw them check the mermaid side, which you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't believe that we saw them... Yeah, we haven't seen them go through Sky Palace yet at all. So it's a matter of, do you want to dig for that tail, or is it going to be less time consuming at this point to just think about maybe just going for a black belt, or Do you just say whatever and just hope you can get your fighters good enough to make you through the Topher?
The good news is you have the mouse immune, so you're not worried about weapons on the fighter. The bad news is more of the defense. Now, the ribbon is great, but without the opal armor, you don't have as much absorb. The best you're going to be able to do is like a flame or ice armor. I don't... Caleb probably does have that ice armor that we saw in Ice Cave, because he seemed to be checking all the chests while he was there.
I was pretty certain that we saw each of them pick up at least one of those suits of armor, because I could swear we saw flame armor way earlier as well. So they both have the same armor class, it's just one protection each on them. It's not bad.
I think that just leaves us missing a shield, really.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty certain we saw silver or steel or iron earlier. If you're going to go with mid-range armor, they're all about the same.
Not particularly enough you're going to worry about it.
Yeah.
Again, elemental shield, so if you're doing a fighter build and you didn't have the ribbon, you want to do something like fire armor with ice shield so that you're throwing the different elements up. Even with the knight, you can throw opal in there, has the lightning resistance, so if you don't have the ribbon, you want to stack it with different elements to give you the most protection you can get.
So I noticed that Caleb, unless he decides to turn back around, is avoiding the second floor treasury here. So he may just be picking and choosing at this point and just assuming whatever he has for his fighter might be enough.
He checked the first floor to see if anything was going to be there. The second floor would have required more encounter steps because he just reset out of the first floor.
Yeah, it was an easy check for him. It's about as close to greed as you can get here in Sky Cave. Just kind of pick it up. If you don't see anything you like, get out and move on. So, ooh, metal slimes. They're a decent experience, if you can kill them.
Blue Dragon wasn't a one-shot, so not quite as nice. He's actually worth more experience than the Eye. It's just it's such a later fight that it's not really used for grinding purposes. Plus, he tends to be a lot more durable than the Eye is.
But fact is, if you can kill the Blue Dragon quickly, then it's a decent grind to get, especially because of the fact that there's a door right in front of his tile, and you can't get an encounter at that door because there's not a tile right in the door right there. So it's a free tile to bounce back and forth on, and you can just, go to town on that Blue Dragon if you can kill it. Not in this particular instance. That's something that you new players can bear in mind.
Dengwoo is going to get the chime just after Caleb has discovered that chimeras are toxic.
Yeah, that sucks, especially since you're going to be seeing them again over in Topher.
The good news is with his levels now, the magic defense is such toxic's not by any means going to be 100% success rate, but it only takes once to really mess you up.
Yeah, Crabcake's asking about the fact that the orbs on Dengwoo's side, how they were being lit. He's actually taking the stockings down as he lights his orb.
Right, we're about to see Warmack here. Now, worth noting that our endgame bosses are Warmack, the Fiends Revisited, and Chaos. They all share a pool from which they draw their spells and their skills. So, this Warmack can have Nuke. Or Carrie could have Nuke.
Question in chat about how far ahead Caleb is than Dengwoo. Well, right now he's got a 2-orb lead, could potentially be a 3-orb lead very quickly. With a Warmack throwing out Blaze right there. Who knows how this is going to go right now. But he could be anywhere between maybe 10 minutes or so to possibly 20, depending upon how this goes and how it goes for Dengwoo afterwards. It's a question.
Warmack has fired off Blaze, and he's fired off Nuclear. Vanilla game, Warmack has 4 Nuclears.
Ouch.
And he hit for 400 damage, but that was a white mage who was squishy. That's Nuclear number 2 because he didn't roll around to Blaze, so Warmack had at least 2 Nuclears.
I mean, it's nice to know that those are out of the
That's
pool.
all you need.
Yeah. Now heal up and hope that you can take out Kraken. And that's a fighter versus Kraken without a whole lot of buffing that you can do in the process.
Nope. You're just gonna have to go in there, hope your 600 HP is enough. does have a saber sword, so he could boost his damage.
If he's willing to
Wisely
risk it.
uses the heal 3 too, so that he's got some healing. If he needs it, that's kind of a desperate situation, though.
Ink's a good first move. 230 off of 4 hits. Kraken's
Pretty
not hitting
good
too
opener,
hard.
I'd say.
Ooh, 24 off of 1 hit. That's not nice. Back to Ink.
200 damage, it's gonna get there.
Could, as long as Kraken doesn't keep whacking. I think Kraken
This
got
might be
like
the time to use that heal staff.
Kraken got like all the inks. Oof. Oof.
He's gambling. I think I would have liked to have seen the heal staff 2 turns ago. When he was at 200 is when I wanted
Nope,
it. Now he's kind of stuck.
Yep.
That happened. Which also means you have to go through Warbeck again with those 2 nuclears.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like having to back out of this dungeon and save a war mech, but seeing how nasty that war mech could be, sometimes you sit there going, maybe I back out and save it, and then I don't have to stress about it in the future. Because you blink off of Kraken 2 or 3 times, and suddenly you're saving time when you exit out and save.
I actually really would have liked to have seen him check that second floor right now. He's
On
got
the
the
second
one
time through?
ribbon, Warbeck
Yeah.
opened with Blaze. Maybe you find a second ribbon and you've got that going for you. Meanwhile, Dengwoo is getting into the depths of this marsh cave, which is where the rod is located.
Prog Mentality in chat asking if this is the time for Caleb to grind. No, I don't think just yet. Because if he gets lucky with his Warmax and can keep that White Mage alive, the White Mage is going to have Cure 4s, and that Kraken battle is completely different with Cure 4.
Yeah, I think with the hits we were seeing from Warmech, you probably leave the fighter in the first spot this time, trying to nurse the mages through it, and
Yeah.
you throw out fades and nukes to try and get him down as quickly as possible. And really, his problem was born of taking the second nuclear. As long as he's able to get Warmech down faster than that, he should have the white mage out. And if he's got the mages up for Kraken, that fight's going to be nearly free by comparison to what he just went through.
Yeah, that White Mage getting smacked for 400 damage from the Warmech is pretty much what took that out right there. A little luck and just Warmech going after the fighter instead, and it's a lot less to worry about. Black Mage is, only okay in this particular instance, but the White Mage is absolutely essential for this set of 2 battles.
What Caleb has done is go for treasures on this floor where he can use warp to come back to the staircase faster.
I like that
So,
strat.
Skipping half the walk, basically, for his treasure checks.
And this is a pretty chest-dense little floor right here. If you're gonna find something good, there's a good chance of it being here, because it's what, like 14? That's great. I mean, fine an opal armor, can't use it, but it's still great.
It would depend on finding the tail, but considering it would be his best armor as soon as he found the tail, you understand it's worthwhile picking it up since you're here anyways.
And if he really wants to use that opal, he can always dive back in and check the floors he hasn't
There
done
it
yet, and
is.
get a second ribbon.
Second
gonna help.
It's located in, this is often called the greed check, because this is just easy to get to by the teleporter, so it often gets checked even in go mode.
That's going to give him protection from that blaze for all 3 of his party members. Because of that ice armor, he's going to be good to go. And he can get a free little whiz-vamp fight in the process.
I don't think he's gonna take the ribbon off the fighter. We'll see.
I mean, with what he saw from Kraken and Warmech, there's not much to worry about with keeping the ribbon on him. We didn't see any death magic, and we didn't see anything besides blaze. I don't know that I'd stress about it right now. I might try and keep everyone alive with the ribbons.
You've also only seen the ability list, because that's where Blaze is. It wasn't a spell, so
Fair.
you don't know what could come out on that side of things just yet.
I would probably still gamble myself and be like, meh, he seems skill happy, let's just bank on that. But there's a reason I'm not, like, upper echelon player also.
I like safety when I can get it, so I'm going ribbon on fighter white mage here. Meanwhile, Dengwoo looking through these checks in the Earth Cave we've not seen yet, so still potential to find the tail.
Yeah, I seem to recall Caleb running right past all of these, and I would put some of this probably at Dengwoo knowing that he's behind because of the wipes that he had, and reasoning that he needs to find something that's going to give him the edge, whatever it may be.
Yeah, now, redoing Warmech, that's worth more than a wipe in Ice Cave, so this has already been a significant makeup for Dengwoo, assuming he was able to come in here in one shot.
Lucky avoidance of that stun right there, that's going to help him out.
Yeah, also, Caleb with a different setup this time. He's kept the fighter in the front. He moved the Black Mage up there earlier.
Ouch!
That's bad news.
That's really bad.
Recover that.
Nope.
He's firing the nukes, which is the right way to go. And Warmech's down. This is still going to be a completely different Kraken fight. Also, Orb for Dengwoo.
Yeah, he's going to be able to buff more at this point, so assuming Kraken doesn't backline his Black Mage first turn. But even backlining his Black Mage first turn is... Or, never mind.
First turn, Brack.
Yeah, well, everything I was about to say doesn't matter because there you go.
Brack strats, best strats.
Don't have to worry about it.
It's the safest way to kill Kraken. It's not a guarantee. I forget the exact odds, but something like 1 in 7, 1 in 8. In that range, at least. So you fire off a bunch of Bracks, and you've got a very good chance of killing Kraken.
I believe, Crabcakes came in and let us know. I believe Brack on Kraken is a 26% chance. Specifically, she said 1 in 4, which is about the same, but I think because of the weird math of Final Fantasy, it's like a 26% chance. So Brack is great, because, basically 1 in 4. You're going to be, you've got good odds of that happening. You cast enough of them, and it's going to hit sooner or later.
Yeah, and same odds on Tiamat, so for those two fiends, it's very powerful. It's also less likely that Quake will work on Lich, but it is also possible. So the only Fiend 1 that doesn't have any strat like that is Carry, but of course the Confused strats are pretty well known for Carry. As far as Fiends 2, they're not susceptible to that stuff except for Lich, who is actually susceptible to Quake.
So to answer the question about what kind of shield the fighter is wearing, that would be a Pro Cape, because that is the best thing Caleb managed to find. But he did buy a Pro Cape for his fighter right now, so I believe we're getting fighter strats heading into the Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, I mean, as far as switching out off of Masamune, it wouldn't make any sense to do Black Belt for fighter unless you were going to take him to 32. But 119 entry to Temple of Fiends Revisited for Caleb. It got a big walk to start it. Runs into the Gas Dragons. I like to call this the encounter that broke the experience scale. Because, boy, you just get 4 of them, and you can actually overflow the vanilla amount of experience. You start doing multipliers on top of that, which, by the way, they got a 200% bonus at 12 key items. But I'll mention it now. So if you were on vanilla numbers, you would vastly overflow the experience from that encounter, which is bad. So what the dev team did was lower the values, but lower the requirements as well, so that the ratios still work out. If you're doing 5 times experience, it only takes 20% of the experience to level up.
So, couple things to point out. One, we were discussing earlier about the nasty chimeras. They are unrunnable, not only in air, but in the Chimera Jamera pack as well. So they're just fun to have around, especially considering the skills that they had. Other thing is, we got a question from Prog Mentality in chat, asking about why Caleb has had one of his party members dead. Jokingly, someone pointed out the fact that's because he's named Dang. And Dang is just a nice version of the Danning that we like to talk about, where in traditional games, vanilla games of this, you'd see Ace, Bill, like Carl and Dan was the character that they'd leave kissing ground. The reason they would do that and only have 3 party members alive, quote unquote Danning a party member, is because you could split the XP among all the living party members. That's how the game works. And if you only have 3 party members alive instead of 4, that experience is going to split better. So a lot of players at this point, in the rando especially, will only play like 3, sometimes only 2 party members, especially based on the flags, so that they can get a better experience distribution among the ones that they have alive, and thus maybe get through the game a little faster because they don't have to spend as much time grinding afterwards.
And just for fun, you can try solo character challenges. We don't see much competition in that, but it's a fun challenge. See if you can do the whole thing with just the one character. Also noteworthy, since we're talking about the experience scaling, they made it possible to level up multiple times in a fight. Before, what would happen is, if you got so much experience, you'd have to get into another fight to get the level up for the experience you already had, because you can only go one time.
Yeah, it would mean that you would get into ones, and even if the monsters ran away from you, you'd spontaneously level up despite getting, like, no experience, basically. And sometimes you'd, like, go into 3 or 4 battles in a row and just get a level every time, even if the experience wasn't there. That's the reason why. Now, of course, you get multiple levels, you don't have to worry about it.
Lich down for Caleb, he is on to the fire floor.
So far, so good. Lich is very rarely a gatekeeper in this, just because of, even with like bonus stats up to 250%, Lich just doesn't tend to have that much to work with even at the base game. So he can't generally be a gatekeeper because there's just not that much of him to gatekeep. Occasionally you will see him with like double nuke that he likes to cast immediately, but by and large, it's very rare to see a Lich gatekeeper. More likely you're going to see a carry, or really a Kraken or a Tiamat gatekeeper instead.
Yeah, vanilla Lich does actually open up for spell nuke, so that's a real pain. Actually, if you watch the vanilla speedrun, what you'll see is they'll get into a Gurmedusa fight before Lich, and get everybody but the fighter turned to stone. The fighter has a ribbon on, so he won't get turned to stone, and then just solo fights Lich. With the Excalibur, if you were curious.
Because of the fact that the Excal has... Well, Excal in vanilla game didn't actually have the proper bonuses associated with those, so that'd be part of the weapon fixes in the rando.
It was actually much stronger because the crit rate was insane. It was the second best crit rate of the game, and down goes Maya to Zap.
I think, honestly, losing Maya right now is probably the best case scenario. You still have your lives on your white mage, and the other 2 are going to be able to survive just fine and actually do most of the damage they were going to do.
Yeah, that would actually be a case to make, as he instantly revives Maya for leaving Maya down and getting that experience and maybe a little more HP. Because the ideal is be over 400 so that you can survive a nuke.
Well, and there's the fact that if their character's dead on the ground, you don't have to heal them of any damage. You can just heal them revive them and heal them right before the next big battle they need to be involved in, and then just avoid everything else. Of course, water floor is terrible. You generally get a lot of encounters here because it's so big. You have these waters here that just love to do damage to you because they generally hit pretty hard. Like, of all the floors to have all your party members up, water floor is probably one of the best ones for it. It's just, when you have a dead party member, you have to think sometimes, is it worth bringing them back right now?
Dengwoo had a substantially easier time with Warmech and is into the Kraken fight.
Benefit of 4 characters versus 3. This is the gamble you make.
Though, so you can't round 1 Brack. Actually,
I'm not sure he has Brack.
I don't think he's seen Provoca.
But he's got enough overwhelming damage, he'll probably be fine.
Well, apparently this Kraken's got some evade, though.
Yeah, evade and absorb, because that was only 36 damage off of 1 hit. Oof. Yeah, and he starts bringing out the locks. Can't say I blame him for that.
You also saw him use Quad X there. It'll work if Kraken is under 300 HP remaining, but he can get pretty high on his HP. Kraken 2, by the way, looks to have much less absorb, as we've got dueling Krakens.
Yep. I was going to put it, and not a lot of health. I actually think Kraken 2 may have had less health than Kraken 1. That's curious, but amusing.
Possible.
Uh-huh. It's the way the randomizer works and the ranges, it's possible. The Kraken 1 was quite the little gatekeeper right there. Kraken 2, not so much.
Those only rock galls, not iron galls. No reason to get hype over just rock galls. Actually, it's really annoying because it's 1 step in front of the Tiamat fight, so he has to go back in and heal again.
Ugh, time waster.
Only 29 damage from the Masamune's opening swing. Tia, going into that spell list, we see Fire 3, so again, these Fiends Revisited are all sharing the same spell pool. Orb for Dengwoo. We've not seen the nukes yet. There's 3 nukes available to these bosses.
Well, actually, should we shout out Orb for Dengwoo? Is it stalking?
I'm still calling it an orb. He's just putting the orb in the stocking.
Fair. And then taking the stocking off the mantle. Yeah. Very nice.
Tornado comes out. So we've seen Tornado and Blaze come out already off of the ability list. Fire 3, has Tia looped already? Because that's not much of a spell list.
Doesn't really matter, though, because Tia's gone. The only one that suffered
matters
was
for what's on Chaos's spell list.
True. Yeah, because we haven't seen a lot of nukes. Haven't seen Bane that I remember. There's a lot that could still be in Chaos's pool. Of course, at the same time, some of the bosses we saw, like Warmech, were very happy on their skills. They may have had a lot of spells. And then...
Oh, we're getting the lap.
Yup, the victory lap. They may have had spells we didn't see because they were happy on their skills and attacks, and they just never went around to their spell list. So who knows? Who knows?
This has gotten to be a pretty common strat in the randomizer, moving a squishy party member up to spot 1, particularly while you're raising evade, and it protects your knight, your main damage dealer, a little bit better.
Well, and the reason for that is, 1, because the way that Final Fantasy distributes the attacks is that the front player is going to get attacked 50% of the time, second player gets hit 25% of the time, and then the bottom 2 get hit 12.5% of the time, of course, totaling up to 100% total. Now, the other thing to bear in mind, and this is deep lore strats that you wouldn't see in the vanilla game normally just because of the way the vanilla game works, if you have a party member in the 3rd slot, and then the other party members are out of the way, and it's just like a one-on-one brawling match between you and the boss, you can hold A and pray, and sometimes get the boss locked into an AI loop. And if they're not just whiffing at you and you're doing damage to them, you can just hold A for a while and eventually kill them. So
this Chaos has a big bias towards melee and a big bias towards swinging at egg.
Which is not nice.
It actually means his damage is pretty low considering he's not one-shotting just a white mage.
True. And he's whipping out good damage with Egg too, his fighter, which kind of leaves you wondering how much more this Chaos could have. Sooner or later, that Chaos is going to run out of gas. I mean, when even the Black Mage doesn't get whacked down...
You're talking about something like 5,000 HP for the maximum. So, we've got a good deal of damage in here already.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's tracking, like 2,500 or so damage so far? And that's that! Right there, that is all she wrote.
So, a big difference in routing as Caleb finishes with an SRL time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 4 seconds. His routing worked out well. It took him away from the ice cave, which gave Dengwoo so much trouble. He found his go mode items faster, and he takes the all-time lead in the series, 9-8.
Which is interesting, because Dengwoo won the live match, so he has the trophy. Caleb, however, has the lead in the matches. I'm wondering how many more of these we're going to have to really settle this.
An 11-minute Topher is, feels like it's on the longer side, but it didn't feel that long when he was playing it.
No, that Topher felt pretty easy and pretty quick, honestly.
It's just constant progress, but sometimes the encounters are just slowing you down, particularly the more unrunnables you see. And we saw them early on with the Chimera formation. So this is to mark the loot for Dengwoo, but I'm pretty sure he has it. I'd be surprised if he hasn't been to see Astos yet. So he should be total go mode after this.
Yeah, it'd be like the only check he has left if he hasn't, because it's on the way. It would just be surprising because you would think that he would have gotten it because Otherwise, he's not technically in go mode. Yeah.
But he's flying right towards Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, he's got to have the loot, or this is going to be a big
there it
embarrassment. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it could always be the nightmare scenario. That's not what Caleb had, though. He had pretty much the dream.
Yeah, this was
well.
this. Other than the Kraken 1 wipe, this seed felt really, really free. And thank you, Danny, for this wonderful present to end the year with.
So GG's to you, good sir. Honestly, that seemed to go out with about as little of a hitch as you could hope for.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything I was super worried about. Like I said, the wipe to Kraken 1 felt bad, so I was like, well, let me dig around a little bit and see if I can find something that might help this redive. And lo and behold, there was the free ribbon and the greed chest on Sky 3. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
Also,
Were
the
you
difference
hoping-
information can give you. You kept the fighter up front for Warmech the second time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you hoping for that tail at some point, or were you just banking that whatever you get, you're just going to go with the party you had?
I was hoping for it, but once I realized I was in go mode, I knew I wasn't going to go out of my way to open any more boxes. So, yeah. And once the Mosses showed up and had ice armor and the pro capes were for sale, I knew I'd be fine in Temple of Fiends. So, as long as I found ribbons, and luckily I found 2. So,
Real quick, I have a favor to ask of Danny. If we could update that series record on stream, that'd be fantastic.
Just rub it in a little bit.
Chimera's firing off Toxic. They, of course, were unrunnable. You didn't seem to see a lot of them. They caused Dengwoo some trouble with Earth Cave. He had a few wipes there, and then he had a few wipes in Ice Cave, whereas you one-shotted it coming to it later. Actually, your dive of Ice Cave, Dengwoo was on his 3rd.
oof. Yeah, he told me that he was having some trouble in there, and then I found out we were high-fiving in Ice Cave, and he said that he had been there for a while, and I was like, ooh, feels bad. I'm in and out. Because I told him, I was like, I just did warp, and he was like, there's no way. He's like, warp was level 6. There's no way you have the levels for that. I was like, I have 2 charges of it. And he seemed pretty defeated by that, so...
You had significant higher level going in, because you'd already done Waterfall.
Oh, Frostwolves are mean.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were very mean.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was one of the wipes.
I did not see
Oh,
it.
dang, no. Not like this.
He's got
There
me.
we go. There we go. Yeah, the Frostwolves were incredibly rude this seed.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. But luckily, Life 2 will make this all okay.
Real quick, my apologies to Danny, because that's not actually on the tracker to update the series, so Danny could not do that if she wanted to, which I'm sure she did, because Danny's a nice person. By the way, Dark Moon, Caleb won the race. Chaos is defeated.
What? I'm sorry, what?
We may have had a little miscommunication in there, so anyway. Well,
Apparently,
Caleb, you don't
I
get
need
the
to learn to
trophy,
pay
but
more
you do
attention.
have the series.
I told him that he needs to mail it to me.
You two get to settle that. I just bought the trophy for you guys. You get to figure out who it is. Now, even if he sends you the trophy, though, he is under no obligation to send you that ring.
No, that's fine. I told him he could keep the trophy, that essentially I was playing with house money here, so I had nothing to lose. And when my level 1 Garland rush didn't blow up in my face, I knew that there was something special in the air.
That early Masamune, though, it doesn't get much nicer than that.
No.
Well, this speaking, though, of the fact that Speed Gaming Live is going to be going on again next year, which, next year is only like a couple days away. Are you and Dang looking forward to your big rematch there?
Yeah, we were talking about it. I know the plan is for the community to kind of, the Final Fantasy community to come together and maybe have like a little event leading up to it. So the folks that are there, like maybe have like a tournament there. I know there's been some talk about that. So it won't just be me and Dang on that stage. It'll be somebody from the community playing Dang to try to get that trophy back.
That luscious trophy that someone needs to add to. We need a base for that trophy now.
And when we do add to it, we need an asterisk next to Dang's name.
It's gonna be like the Indy 500 trophy. We carve the name of the winners into it.
Yeah. Just Dengwoo asterisk.
He won the battle, but not the war.
That's fair.
Well, the red giant Agama encounter ends up being unrunnable. The good news
Yeah,
is
this
this is worth a whole lot of experience.
It was just kind of dumb because I think the Agamas had Blaze. I think.
Warmech sure did.
Yeah.
There was a lot of blazing and there was a lot of thundering. The monsters really didn't want you to get past, and yet at the same time, it seemed like you had, for the most part, a fairly easy time of this whole scene.
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, I was commenting to Dengwoo that there did seem to be a lot of poison touch early on, which was more annoying than anything. But it wasn't terrible. Like I said, this scene didn't feel all that bad, and I'm just grateful that Dengwoo got hung up on all the nasty stuff that I didn't get to see.
Didn't see
Well,
once.
you did
yeah.
the Brack strats on Kraken 1. We theorized that Kraken 1 actually had more HP than Kraken 2.
Yeah, I kind of rolled my eyes when on the second dive of Kraken 1, the first round Brack hit. I was like, of course it did.
Zap is taking it to Dengwoo's party. This is a problem. Fighter down. Is Nuke gonna carry the day? Carrie's resisting and she's firing a big Ice 3. There is not a ribbon on Danny.
Uh-oh. Come on, Dang.
Trying the Quad X, is it enough? It's not. Carrie has over 300 HP remaining. Another Fire 3, this time a little bit better results. Trying again with Quad X and hoping it's enough. It is enough. Dengwoo squeaks by that one.
I liked the strategy he had there, though, because he was using the fades off of the White Mage, because White Mage only had Cure 3 sharing a level with that. The nukes off of his Red Mage, which was the other super damaging spell he had, shared a level with Tempers, so every nuke he cast, which he's having to do right now on one of them, it looks like, wasted one of his Tempers that he probably wants to save later. So Fade was a much better option. I liked the way he handled that.
So one of the things that Dengwoo and I were talking about, where here we landed 8-8 in this before this race, and we were talking about spring tournament because that's coming up in a few months,
which we made sure to promote.
Yeah, and we're still fine tuning the flag sets for that. So come on over to the FF Discord and have your thoughts shared with the folks planning that the tournament. But we were reflecting on spring tournament 2019. And Dengwoo went 4-1 in that tournament, during the Swiss rounds, which I found surprising because I went 1-4, and now I've beaten him 9 times.
Yes, but to be
You'll
fair
learn more about
to
the game
everyone,
along the way too.
that was like 6 months difference between when your series with him went and when you first got in, because you were a duckling, like just new, freshly cracked duckling when you first joined the spring tournament, because you joined around the same time I did. There's a rift of difference between where you're at now from where you were then. I wouldn't be surprised if you went like 4-1 this next time around yourself.
Oh well, thank you. I wasn't fishing for compliments there. I was
the compliment.
I said thank you. I
He's
would be
making up for not watching your stream during the race.
You son of...
I was focusing on Dengwoo a lot. I am so sorry.
Where was Invis 2? I missed that.
Level 6?
Oh,
no,
okay.
Level 5 Melman.
That's
okay.
right,
I must have just had enough for Life 2 and didn't come back for it.
Well, do you want to use all the Invis 2 charges when you've got the Life 2 there? That's the risk right there.
Yeah. When I found Cure 4 in Provoca, I knew that he was likely not gonna go there, but yeah. But no, all of that spring tournament Swiss talk just to say that I'm now going to be cursed to face Dengwoo in the spring tournament next year, and he's gonna probably do well.
And if he wins, do we have to take this championship up to 9-9 at that point?
No, that is only on these flags.
Fair.
He has beat me.
Technically correct.
Which is the best kind of correct. And of course, next time when we do the flags for Road to SGLive, I will be assuming we're going to be doing a different flag set at this point. So this may very well be the last time we ever play these.
These flags are so fun, though.
They are, but, you know, we got to keep changing them up a little bit.
Yeah, people balk at the solo forced with Town Shuffle, but with Item Magic being shuffled and the XP the way it is, like, these flags feel really fast. Like, I mean, I don't think we've had a race. I think we've had one that went over 2 hours. Every other one is finished right around 90 minutes.
We did have two, but one of them was the Trenton versus me match.
That doesn't count for anything, ever.
With 17 races, you know, that's pretty good clear time for them, so.
Yeah. No, yeah. Hour and a half is pretty solid for these, for, like, the first place person on them. It seems about average, yeah. I like these flags a lot. I do think that, which there was some discussion of this in the chat while you were running, if Septimus is able to code the thing of the forced player can't be swapped out at Tavern mode, that will put a nice twist on these flags for next year.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Mm-hmm. To have to keep that theme no matter
up
what.
to Tiamat now. Working on getting to the finish of this seed. Came in here about 13 minutes behind where you did, so it's been a little bit slower run through here. Got more of those unrunnables on the fire floor, I think.
A lot more unrunnables and a lot more getting wiped by certain nasty skills, so he's had to spend some time reviving and healing that Caleb didn't have to.
We did not see the nasty spells come out. We never saw Nuke, we never saw Cure 4, Slow 2. We also saw 2 of the Nuclears, but there's 2 more out there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot that's still on the table that could make this match, make this battle with Tiamat and Chaos a lot more scary.
So the victory lap. Counterclockwise, huh?
That's usually the way I go. I usually go left first. So you're coming up out of the stairs, go left. That's the way I was going. That's the way I normally walk to the chaos room. And then I figured, like, when I got about halfway around the room, I was like, I'm doing it. Doing the victory lap.
There it is.
There's a nuke. Ouch.
It was somewhere, and this went enough turns that we found out Tiamat had it.
Oh. He got through. His levels were about where mine were.
And I mean, he still has charges of life, too.
He killed Tia faster.
I mean, he still had charges of life, too. It wasn't a huge deal, and all things considered, it's fine, because now that you're at Chaos, you don't need those lives anymore. Do what you want with them.
Yeah.
I like the present, so that's adorable.
Not opting for the victory lap, though.
Maybe he's just ready to be done with this.
Well, why wouldn't you be after that ice cave?
Yeah, no, I can't blame him for this. I mean, it's Deng. We all expect the victory lap out of him, but at the same time, you gotta feel for him and like how he went through all of this.
He's fine.
Now he has moved that ribbon to the fighter. Didn't have it there earlier. There's a certain amount of logic to that in having the having your life caster be the one that has the ribbon on it. But it feels bad for bosses.
Yeah.
Especially when I hadn't seen this sprite before. Love
You're
it.
a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Well, that goes right in line with the Grinch-themed text scroll at the beginning of his ROM, so that was perfect. Oh, that's great. Love it. Yeah, but no, I understand moving the Red Mage down, too, because they've got temper charges. He needs to do everything he can to make this fighter get through it as quick as possible. You can tell that he's a little shaken, though, in comparison to where, Caleb, you were when you came in. He seems to be thinking a little harder about the moves he's making.
Well, he knows based on the time Caleb couldn't have had too much trouble in Topher.
You'd think.
Grinch, the big hit on Danny.
Woo! Big hit from that
1100
fighter.
damage is a nice hit.
Woo! That's a lot right there.
I like that it's a wolf sprite.
That's I hadn't noticed that. That's brilliant. Oh, it's so good. He is at least the winner.
That's not going to work in battle, which I'm pretty sure Dengwoo knew.
I think he was just meaning. Especially with doing like almost 1200 a hit. Like, meh. Now he's casting Harm 4 from the look of it.
I told him that was the only way to kill Chaos.
Showing off his large dagger.
I definitely told him.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Harm 4. It's the only way to soften him up.
Harm would be a lot more interesting if the devs ever implemented like an ability to cast Undead on a monster. And with that, Dengwoo has defeated the Grinch.
GG Dengwoo!
Some say his heart grew 3 sizes that day.
I think he just traveled 2,000 years in the future and died.
Does he have to go give the presents back to the kids in Melmond? No?
No.
No.
No one goes back to Melmond. Dengwoo doesn't go back to Melmond. He comes into the booth. GG, you got it done.
Hello, Dengwoo. So nice of you to join us here.
17 minutes after. Ugh!
Yeah,
I blame that
Ice Cave was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ice cave, earth cave, everything. It was great. 10 out of 10. Would love to do
Even
those caves
Waterfall
again.
Cave, the routing was a bit of a thing.
This game trolled me. Whatever. Look. I felt bad. Okay, we did the SGLive thing. Kate was really try-harding. He kept looking over at me. Whispering, trying to get in my head and stuff like that. And I beat him, and I felt bad. So I gave him a 17-minute handicap, trying to explore the world with the early ship.
Yeah, looking at chat and how it was when Caleb was about 3 orbs to 1 ahead of you, and you still had checks you had to do, which was just mostly due to the ice cave. Crab Cake's estimated you were probably about 20 minutes or so behind, and from the look of it, you at least beat her estimate by 3 minutes. But it seems like, that ice cave really just set you back far.
So this is the funny thing. I was kind of excited when I hit those frost wolves, and I was like, okay, they killed off a couple of my guys. I'll just do an eye grind with my fighter. I'll make it through. I haven't seen anything nasty, really, And then the frost wolves wiped me, and then I got wiped from what was it?
There was one of the wraiths or something that had thunder.
Bane. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
The
Bane
Geist
from
had
the
Bane.
undead pack in there.
Yeah, and so that I kept hitting that because I decided I was gonna oh, you know what? Maybe it was just unlucky. Hit it again. Okay, and then I don't know. You know what? It was fun. Either way, I had my fun with Caleb. I tried to troll him, tell him that I was on Tiamat 2 when he was already in Topher, but that didn't work.
So are you keeping the trophy?
Yeah. What? When it counted, when it mattered in a live setting, the dang shows up, okay? The dang nation shows up for live events, okay? He caught me.
I don't know what to say to that.
He caught me in my retirement phase, okay? I was leaning back with some mojitos and just trying to play with one hand, okay? You can see it when you watch the VOD. I was drunk and I could not properly navigate my hero. And that teleporter maze in the floating castle will prove it.
Yeah. I did appreciate that it was a 4th pillar seed. That was nice. That was a nice touch.
Wait, what?
Yeah. The ordeal's 4th pillar.
I got through on the 3rd pillar.
I don't know how that's possible.
Only one thing to do. We're going to have to re-roll and play it over again.
Yeah.
See?
Unless the 4th and the 3rd pillar eventually led to the same thing.
They did.
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I went through the 3rd.
4th pillar was definitely faster once I went back through after I wiped.
I mean,
Yeah,
it probably was because mine took me through like every single other teleporter to get there.
Oh yeah, no, fourth pillar like cut off half the floors.
Well, I wanted to go for a walk. Okay, I was
That's
enjoying.
fair.
I was enjoying my mojito, walking through ordeals, running into
it was-
Medusas.
Your Let's Play of Final Fantasy Randomizer.
Yeah, I was enjoying myself. Okay, he was
Your lie
trying to
would be more
speed run it.
convincing if you weren't saying you enjoyed ordeals.
Look, I did waterfall, then I went to ordeals, and then I kind of went up and talked to the Sleepy King or whatever. So so I was just cruising along while Caleb's like, I'm in the air, ha 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 ha, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm sailing the high seas, man. What's going on? What's up?
I mean, in the right seed, sailing the high seas can actually be faster if the items distribute the way they should. They just didn't for you this time.
I
Well,
already know.
what could have been is probably worth a little bit of note, because you went to Volcano before you were in Go mode and found that ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of unfortunate where that ribbon was for you, because Caleb also got it even though he was in Go mode.
Yeah.
And then I found a second one.
Look,
Well, that was after you wiped, so
I just want to let you
it's
know.
not really
I just want to let you know, Caleb. I did it with only one ribbon. Okay.
Well, good for you, bud.
That's right. One ribbon. Okay.
I'm
It took
ready.
you two. It took you two ribbons to get through that. It took me.
You know what? We're all proud of you, Dang.
Thank you.
You came
I'm
out
very.
here, you did your best, and
And
you know what?
still
You got a
lost.
trophy for it and everything.
I got the participation trophy. Thanks.
Congeniality.
Changing your role title. You're not the SGLive champion anymore. You're the SGLive participant.
So does that? So does that mean that Darkman's going to be sending you the actual bigger trophy? I noticed ours was a little small, so that means he's
No.
he's sending you one that's like twice as tall now. As the actual SG champion.
If
The
I am involved,
the
if I'm
SGLive
involved
trophy
with
I need
SG
is in my heart.
if I'm involved with SG Live next year, I will certainly look into picking up a base for that trophy to make it a little bigger.
That's what.
I've talked
mean-
to the Speed Gaming staff. I think you're going to kidnap you and force you to go again.
The amount of I was so dead after that marathon. The amount of stuff I ended up helping out with. Yeah, I think they'd be sad if I didn't show up again.
I mean, 10 out of 10
well-
would love to watch you sleeping in that chair again. Hey,
Ready to turn into Super Vegeta's Crowd Control Mario 64? Was that it?
I know that. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, thank you, Trenton and Darkmoon, for coming back and doing commentary for us one last time. Danny for tracking.
It was a blast to have the team back together. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
This was a ton of fun. I missed you, Dengwoo.
you know what?
The strain, the stress, you could hear it in his voice.
Look,
Just channel the happiness that you're done with this into something, into some sort of statement. Channel the happiness.
I was
Next year.
enjoying my retirement, okay? And then he kept knocking, and he just kept knocking, and he interrupted my vacation time. And then I come back, and I spend 7 minutes traveling the high seas because I talked to the king first, and he manages to solo Garland with 2 knights and a thief with 1 HP. Like, really?
Well, we call that not
Yeah.
soloing him, but sure. So, Dengwoo, Trenton, FFR retirement, how's it going? You guys have like a little beach house on the coast of Onrak?
You can actually see it if you look in Speed Gaming 2 right now. Like, I have it paused, and it's our little house is right there. It's in that opening.
Oh,
Yeah, and you'll actually see a bunch of crazy old men just kind of circling around aimlessly. Yeah, that's us. We're actually knitting right now. Arts and craft time.
I'm getting ready to get up at 7:30, calling a Mario Maker race here on Speaking. Actually, it's not
Oh,
a race,
fun.
but it's part of a Japanese marathon that's going on. So, get the English broadcast of that. I'll be involved with.
nice.
So let's since we are at 2 minutes before the 11, and we should probably give this channel back to Speed Gaming eventually. We have the Duckling Derby Winter Edition coming up later on this month. Spring tournament, as you mentioned, is going to be starting up March or April of this year, Kate?
Yep.
So
Spring tournament, we're looking to start it sometime in March, so we can kind of coordinate with the RPG Limit Break schedule and
Nice.
try to
Nice.
have like a week off between Swiss and
Mhm.
brackets to accommodate that.
And then, of course, there's the weekly races that we still have going on. You can check us out on Speed Gaming on, what is it? We're on Tuesday still with Beats Gaming?
Yep.
You know the schedule better than I do.
Tuesday.
And then, of course, we have Randomania as well that we host games on weekly. That's Thursdays?
Yes, Thursdays at 10 p.m. usually on one of the Randomania networks.
There you
And
go.
Tuesdays 9 p.m. Eastern on one of the Speed Gaming channels for the weeklies.
There we go. See, I vaguely knew that. So yeah, if you're interested in more Final Fantasy Randomizer action, you can check both those channels and then see all of our upcoming events. And of course, join the community and hang out with all these cool people and maybe become a duckling and be a new player yourself and compete in the derby. Guys, do you have any final thoughts before we let go of the channel?
I already thanked everybody, so I'll cede the floor to Dengwoo.
I mean, look, I just want to thank all the Deng Nation fans out there. I appreciate you to supporting me in my early retirement. I will be coming back, and I will be crushing Caleb in the spring tournament. So, Caleb, I will see you then, and I hope, while I'm making it a bracket play again, I hope you enjoy the early spring retirement home. Okay? Okay. I don't know what I just said there. Just get me out of here.
Trenton, you want to take us away?
I need more mojitos.
I will say a big thank you to Speed Gaming for hosting us tonight. Also, we're throwing out all the feel goods and the thank yous. Probably worth noting that this nice new tracker that came along in the last year, all this graphics work was done by my co-commentator Dark Moon. So big thank you to him for his contributions on that front.
You are quite welcome.
And I hope everybody had fun this evening. If not, watch the VOD back. You probably have more fun the second time around. There's
Listen to me
plenty
screw
going on
up.
Speed Gaming tonight. Thank you, everybody. Till next time. I don't know. Do something. But try to have some fun along the way.
We'll see you guys later.